You are not here by accident. We are standing at the edge of possibilities between what is, what could, and what will be. Where time, space, and humanity cross paths. Where the future has stopped being theory as old assumptions fade away and new realities are becoming real. Are you ready to step beyond the familiar? Look no further and enter the third horizon.
Before we begin, let us pause to take inventory of the moments we have reflected on. Over the past several episodes, we have explored patterns that shape civilizations. In episode 6, we examined historical amnesia, how societies often forget the lessons that once protected them. In episode 7, we explored the illusion of the isolated present moment. That ideal that our time today somehow stands apart from the long chain of decisions that came before in history. In episode 8, we asked what holds civilizations together when those pressures begin to rise. In episode 9, we examine the complexity gap, the growing distance between the complexity of systems we depend on and our ability to understand or manage them. In episode 10, we explored integration capacity, how civilizations survive complexity. But tonight, we explore another question. What happens when knowledge itself begins to expand faster than wisdom, and what kind of leadership it takes to run that knowledge? Modern civilization runs on systems built by science. Electrical grids, medical systems, artificial intelligence, global communication networks, satellites orbiting above the planet. Most people rely on these systems every day. But very few people fully understand their complexity. And that reality creates a profound challenge. Because when knowledge becomes powerful enough to reshape the world, the wisdom guiding its use becomes the most important system of all. Tonight, we explore those questions. When knowledge expands faster than wisdom, and what kind of leadership does civilization require? And once again, the third horizon wants to hear what you, the listening and viewing audience, has to say. We will again ask questions during this episode, and if you have answers, write them down. Share them in the comments or email them to the Third Horizon at FCAOnline.info. With that in mind, let us begin. There is something remarkable about the world we live in today. Human beings have built instruments capable of studying planets orbiting distant stars. We can analyze the chemistry of atmospheres hundreds of light years away. We can edit genetic code. We can simulate climate systems. We have built robots capable of performing tasks that once required human intelligence. And We have created artificial intelligence systems capable of processing more information than any human mind. This explosion of knowledge is one of the greatest achievements in human history. But it also raises a difficult question. Who is responsible for guiding knowledge once it becomes powerful enough to reshape civilization? Gentry Lee, one of the engineers who helped design several of NASA's most important planetary exploration missions, once made a very direct observation about this challenge. He said in the 21st century, a country run by scientifically illiterate people is a prescription for disaster. It may sound harsh at first, but it reflects the reality of the world we now live in. Modern civilization depends on scientific systems, and leadership must be capable of understanding the world those systems create. So, this raises some important questions. How important is scientific literacy for leadership in a technological civilization? And do decision makers need to understand science themselves or simply know how to recognize credible expertise? When people talk about powerful technologies today, the conversation often turns to fear, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, automation, robotics. Some people imagine these technologies as forces beyond human control, but many scientists see them differently. Gentry Lee framed it in a very simple way. AI is not destiny, it is a tool. Human beings have always developed powerful tools: fire, steam engines, electrical power, nuclear technology. Each of these inventions dramatically expanded human capability, but none of them determine the future by themselves. The outcome depended on the institutions guiding their use. Technology amplifies human intent. And if wisdom guides it, technology becomes progress. If ignorance guides it, technology becomes risk. The technology itself does not change. The leadership guiding it does. Once again, this leads to another question. Do you think modern institutions are evolving quickly enough to guide powerful technologies responsibly? Or is technology advancing faster than our governance systems can handle? There is another side to the story of knowledge, a much more hopeful one: curiosity. Many of the greatest scientific discoveries in history were driven not by power or profit, but by wonder. Carl Sagan once wrote, somewhere something incredible is waiting to be known. That spirit of curiosity has driven generations of scientists, people who spend their lives asking questions about the universe. Stephen Jay Gould wrote about the Cambrian explosion, the moment when complex life suddenly appeared on Earth. For billions of years, life existed only as simple, single celled organisms. Then suddenly, in geological terms, complex ecosystems appeared. The history of life reminds us that evolution is not a straight line. It is full of unexpected breakthroughs. And the same may be true of knowledge. Again, we have some very powerful questions. What role does curiosity play in scientific discovery? And do societies that encourage curiosity and exploration gain an advantage over those that suppress it? One of the most exciting scientific developments happening today involves the search for life beyond Earth. Astronomers have discovered thousands of planets orbiting other stars. Many of them are Earth sized. Scientists now study the atmospheres of these worlds, and they look for something very specific. Now, I might say this improperly, but I'm going to do the best I can. Diaequilibrium gases. I'm not a scientist. I think you can tell. They use them big words. Why? I don't know. I would have said strange gases. Certain combinations of gases should not exist together in a stable atmosphere unless something is constantly producing them. On Earth, oxygen and methane exist together. Chemically, they should destroy each other. Yet they remain present because life continually replenishes them. Which means that if astronomers detect a similar pattern on another world, it could indicate biology. In just the past few years, telescopes like the James Webb Space Telescope have begun analyzing the atmospheres of distant planets with extraordinary precision, opening a new chapter in the search for life beyond Earth. That discovery may happen within the next decade. If that moment comes, it will mark one of the most profound discoveries in human history. For the first time, humanity would know that life is not unique to Earth. A question humans have asked for thousands of years may finally be answered. And yes, this is a question to you, audience. How prepared do you think humanity is for the discovery of life beyond Earth? And would such a discovery unite civilization or challenge existing institutions and belief systems? Gentry Lee offered another piece of advice that may be just as important. He called it nimble resilience. The future is unpredictable. Plans will change. New discoveries will reshape our understanding of the world. So the most important skill may not be certainty. It may be adaptability, learning, adjusting, moving forward. Civilizations that remain flexible in the face of new knowledge are more likely to survive. Those that cling to outdated assumptions often struggle to adapt. And again, audience, this brings us to some important questions that I would love to hear your answers to. How important is adaptability in scientific thinking? And do you think our institutions are flexible enough to absorb the discoveries that may come in the next century? And now, a word for our sponsors.
This episode of The Third Horizon is brought to you by CoinToss Coffee, a brand built on passion, family, and the bold leap into possibility. Every blend is handcrafted from Kevin's own recipes, including their best-selling cowboy roast, bold, smooth, and unforgettable. And right now, listeners of The Third Horizon can enjoy 10% off their order at cointosscoffee.com using promo code Horizon10. That is cointosscoffee.com. CoinToss Coffee. Take a chance on a better cup.
The expansion of knowledge is not slowing down. Artificial intelligence, biotechnology, space exploration, climate science. Every decade brings discoveries that reshape our understanding of the universe. The question is not whether knowledge will grow. It will. That much is for certain. The real question is whether wisdom grows alongside it. Because knowledge without wisdom can create instability. But knowledge, guided by wisdom, can expand civilization in ways previous generations could scarcely imagine. This is why avoiding historical amnesia is so critical. Because wisdom requires something deeper than knowledge alone. It requires historical consciousness. When we only possess the knowledge of the immediate moment, true wisdom remains out of reach. But when historical knowledge is combined with the realities of the present and the aspirations of the future, we begin to achieve something greater. True wisdom. History offers powerful examples. When humanity set out to land astronauts on the moon, engineers and scientists combined centuries of scientific knowledge with the ambitions of an entire civilization looking towards the future. The result was one of the greatest achievements in human history. And those of you that have been watching lately, another example is just happened recently when we launched It was during the Artemis II launch when they took the ship Integrity and launched it to the moon and back. 4 astronauts. Again, that mission was successful because they took the knowledge of all the information from the past, combined it with the knowledge of today, and the aspirations of what they want for the future, and that made that mission a have true wisdom. And because of all that preparation, that mission actually, I mean, there was no mistakes. It was perfect all the way through. It was amazing. It was an amazing thing to see, and it was an amazing thing to watch. I'm glad I was there watching, at least on TV. I was watching the TV. I wasn't there personally, but I wish I would have been. But and anybody that hadn't seen it, please go and watch it. You can get it online. But that's a perfect example of an agency or an institution using true wisdom to make something happen. And it's moments like this that remind us that human beings do have the capacity to adapt, to learn, and to rise to the challenges of new knowledge. And now, another word from our sponsors.
This episode of The Third Horizon is also brought to you by FCA, Fine Consulting Agency. If you need high-level policy analysis, structured research, or strategic writing tailored for government, space governance, or nonprofit sectors, FCA delivers clarity, organization, and deep insight. Learn more at FCAOnline.info, that is FCAOnline.info.
When we think about the relationship between knowledge and wisdom, we often focus on discovery. But sometimes the most important decisions happen before discovery ever takes place. One of the best modern examples of this is the James Webb Space Telescope. James Webb was one of the most complex scientific instruments ever built. A multi-layered sun shield the size of a tennis court. A segmented mirror that unfolds in space. Positioned nearly 1,000,000 miles from Earth. Unlike missions in low Earth orbit, there would be no servicing missions, no second chances. Everything had to work the first time. But what makes James Webb remarkable is not just its technology. It is the level of discipline that guided its development. Years of delays, repeated testing, design reviews, simulations of failed scenarios. At times, it was criticized. Too slow, too expensive, too cautious, taken too long to build. But in reality, what we were seeing was something else. We were seeing restraint. Because in complex systems, wisdom often looks like patience or restraint. The decision to test again. The decision to delay. The decision to question assumptions. Decisions like these are considered long-view decision-making patterns. And even when the pressure to move forward is high, good leaders stick to the long view patterns. And when James Webb finally launched, it worked. Step by step, deployment after deployment. A sequence so complex that many engineers describe it as a 29-step ballet unfolding in space. And then the images began to arrive. Galaxies, billions of years old, atmospheres of distant planets, new insights into the structure of the universe. James Webb did not succeed because of speed. It succeeded because knowledge was guided by discipline, because decisions were made with long-term consequences in mind, because the system was designed not just to function, but to endure. And that brings us back to our central question. In a world where knowledge is accelerating, are we willing to apply the same level of patience, the same level of discipline to the system that now shapes our future? Because if knowledge continues to expand, and if the systems guiding it must operate at this level of precision, we must go deeper into our exploration to find those answers. And that raises another question. If knowledge is expanding rapidly, and if wisdom is what must guide it, then what holds that wisdom in place? What gives societies the stability, the cohesion to use that knowledge responsibly over time? This is a question we began to explore in an earlier conversation on societal cohesion. But next time, we go deeper. We take a closer look at what we call the cohesion hierarchy and how human needs, social structures, and shared understanding shape the ability of civilizations to remain stable, adapt, and move forward together. This podcast is not about blame. This podcast is not about taking sides. This podcast is about discovering and exploring the deeper meaning behind the human experience and the systems that shape it. If you sense the world is shifting, if you feel the tension between what is and what could be, if you believe humanity is meant for something more, then welcome. This is the Third Horizon. Thank you for joining me today. More conversations are coming, deeper, wider, and firmly focused on the future. If you enjoyed today's episode, hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to our Spotify, YouTube, or Facebook channels, or whatever channel you are listening from. And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends and family. Until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon and beyond.